Large language models like ChatGPT, they can feel like actual magic, right? They can write code for you, draft your emails, answer pretty much any question you throw at them. But there's a dark side to all that magic. Sometimes they just make things up. This is what we call an AI hallucination, and figuring it out is one of the biggest challenges in AI today. So let's get into it. And look, this isn't just some abstract theoretical problem. It has serious, real-world consequences. Take this headline from the New York Times. A lawyer is facing penalties because the AI he was using confidently made up fake legal cases. Yeah, when the stakes are that high, close enough just doesn't cut it. Okay, so what exactly are we talking about when we say hallucination? Well, as you can see, it's when the AI generates something, an answer, a fact, that just isn't backed up by the information it was supposed to be using. It's not just a simple mistake. Think of it this way. Some researchers call it a confabulation. Basically, it's a super plausible sounding story that's completely made up and presented as cold, hard fact. So, if we're going to solve this problem, first we have to figure out how to diagnose it. How can we spot a hallucination before it does any damage? Well, researchers are building some pretty sophisticated diagnostic tools to do exactly that. And our first stop is a method that's all about statistics. And that brings us to the central challenge, right? How can you tell when an AI is actually confident? You can't just look at the specific words it uses. I mean, a model might say Paris one time and France's capital the next. To a simple word checker, those are two totally different answers, but we know they mean the exact same thing. We've got to find a smarter way to actually measure its certainty. And this is where a really brilliant concept comes into play: semantic entropy. The contrast here is what's so interesting. A simple, kind of naive approach just looks at word variation, and like we just said, that's not very helpful. But semantic entropy, now this is clever. It groups different answers by what they mean. It's smart enough to know that Paris and France's capital belong in the same bucket. By doing that, it gets a much truer sense of the AI's confidence in an idea, not just a random string of words. Okay, so how does this actually work when you've got a long, complex answer from an AI? Well, it's a four-step process. First, you take the AI's big response and you break it down into tiny individual facts. Let's call them factoids. Then, for each little factoid, you work backwards and generate a bunch of questions it could be the answer to. Step 3, you get the AI to answer those questions over and over again. And finally, you calculate the semantic entropy. And if the AI spits out a whole bunch of different meanings, well, the entropy is high, and that's a massive red flag. It's basically screaming that the original fact was probably a hallucination. All right, so diagnosing is one thing, but what about actually treating the problem? Let's move on and look at how researchers are building systems that don't just find these hallucinations, but actively go in and correct them. This leads us to a really powerful idea called hallucination-aware tuning, or HAT for short. And the goal here isn't just to catch a mistake one time. It's about creating this feedback loop that actually teaches the AI to stop making those mistakes in the first place. It's about learning. And this process is pretty elegant. First, a detector model doesn't just flag an error. It actually describes what's wrong, in plain English, like, this claim isn't supported by the source. Then, a powerful model like GPT-4 Turbo takes that description and rewrites the text correctly. But here's the real magic, the final step. The original model gets fine-tuned. It's basically shown both the wrong version and the right version and is taught, hey, this corrected one is good. That original hallucinated one, that's bad. Don't do that again. And what I think is super clever about this whole method is something they call defensive advice. This is for all those gray areas. For example, maybe the source text says one single customer recommended a honey avocado ale. An AI might then generalize and say the ale is popular among customers. Now, that's not a flat-out lie, right? But it's a leap. It's an assumption that isn't really supported by the data. Defensive advice flags these kinds of statements, teaching the AI to be more precise and not exaggerate. So we can diagnose the problem and we can treat it. But what's the end game here? Can we build an AI that has its own internal immune system, one that can actually self-regulate and fix its own mistakes without us having to step in? Well, to dig into that, researchers are looking at two different ways an AI can think. On one side, you've got open-ended generation. This is the flexible, creative mode. It's great at fixing complicated errors. But it's also got a high risk of what's called semantic drift, basically wandering off topic and making brand new mistakes. On the other side, you've got multiple choice. This is way more stable and controlled, but it has this problem researchers call logit inertia. You can almost think of it like confirmation bias for an AI. Once it starts leaning towards one of the wrong answers on a list, it gets really, really stubborn and has a hard time changing its mind. So this chart right here really shows you the upside of being flexible. When it comes to correct flips, which is just a fancy way of saying fixing a wrong answer, that open-ended generation method is way, way better. Its freedom to rewrite things from scratch means it can recover from a mistake much more easily.
But, and you knew there was a but, right? Here's the other side of that coin. That exact same flexibility makes the open-ended approach much more likely to create new mistakes. You can see it right there on the chart. It's way more likely to have what they call incorrect flips, where it takes a perfectly good answer and messes it up.
And what this all boils down to is a really fundamental trade-off. It's adaptability versus stability. The very same creativity that lets an AI fix its own complex mistakes is also what makes it more likely to make new ones. So you're left with a choice: a flexible model that can sometimes go off the rails, or a stable one that can get stuck in its own errors. Okay, so where does all this leave us? We've looked at diagnosing the problem, actively treating it, and even the dream of self-regulation. Let's pull it all together and figure out what the final prognosis is for this whole AI hallucination problem. This table is a great way to sum it all up. You've got semantic entropy, which is all about detecting the problem by focusing on meaning instead of just words. Then there's RAG hat, which aims to actively mitigate the problem by rewriting and retraining. And finally, you have the research into self-correction, which is trying to figure out how an AI can self-regulate by finding that sweet spot between being adaptable and being stable. So the big takeaway here, the thing to really remember, is that there's no magic bullet for this. There's no single fix. We can't just pick one of these strategies. The future of AI that we can actually trust is almost certainly going to rely on a hybrid approach, a system that combines powerful detection, active ways to fix mistakes, and a really carefully balanced internal immune system. And that leaves us with one last big, provocative question to think about. This whole field is pushing hard to make AI more stable, more reliable, more fact-based. But as we do that, are we accidentally stamping out the very sparks of creativity and flexibility that made these things so revolutionary to begin with? That's the fundamental puzzle we have to solve as we keep building the next generation of AI.